Hello, guys. It's your host from the Breast Review Show. I'm gonna try not to spoil anything. To be honest, I actually started recording a lot like 10 minutes ago, but for some reason, either I hit recording or at 10 minutes my OBS decided to say, "Hey, we're gonna stop recording." Pretty strange. But we're gonna fire up this review of Infinity War. I just got back from seeing it like an hour ago. Um, I spent 10 minutes talking about this already, and I have to go through all of this again. Um, because when I realized I wasn't recording anymore, I was talking about we see a connection, a relationship, a conversation, somewhat, even though one was more reluctant, and that was between Hulk and Banner. But the opening scene, you hear an SOS. And like we got people of Asgard, we're just being like women and children, and this and that. That opening scene was done pretty well. Brolin's Thanos was amazing. Thanos, if you want to know who is the MVP of the movie that stole the show, that was Thanos, without a doubt. Thanos, and the awkwardness. I mean, it was with Banner meeting up with Rogers and Black Widow and everybody else, and having the Vulcan be like, "This is awkward." When Banner came out and said, "Hi, Nat," "Hi," um, just really awkward. I mean, and Banner not being able to transform into the Hulk. I mean, the Hulk did not want to fight. The fight scene with Wakanda versus Thanos' army. If that if someone wouldn't have showed up, they would have lost right there. I assume that they would have lost right there if he didn't show up with Groot and Rocket. If he didn't show up, they would have lost. That was a game changer right there. That one showing up with the new toy, mind you, which is awesome, and with how that was made in that scene, that was pretty cool. And seeing Groot put his game down, defender game down, and take part in it was done pretty good. And seeing little teenage Groot step up and stop messing around with the video game, and take in and step up and get into the fight, and the interaction between people of the Avengers to the Guardians of the Galaxy, it would take a little bit. Yeah, they would be a little bit more reluctant to work together with each other, and they might find each other annoying. And but in the end, they seem to work really well together, despite that, especially with a common enemy. And it that line that Loki said, I mean, that it paid tribute to the first Avengers movie. I mean, I when it comes, I was like talking about this now. I'm trying to remember what I've already said. Like my brother and maybe a few others might not have liked how Infinity War had what they had done with the characters, and what they had done with certain characters, and have certain characters dying at the end. But that's the whole point. what they did not understand from the very first part from Civil War. From Civil War, the entire Avengers team was disbanded. They were completely split up. They're no longer a team. They're no longer of that Avengers family. They're disbanded. With, you could say, the leaders, Stark and Rogers, butting heads to the point where they're not on speaking terms. And believe it or not, I mean, some of them might not want to come out and say it. Like Rogers might not want to come out and say that Stark was right. Maybe we weren't ready for this. Stark had seen this. He had foreseen this, and we weren't ready. Thanos, like Stark, Stark, is cursed with knowledge. Stark's curse is Thanos because he's been in his head for like 6 years. So it's strange. I mean, I expected I had expected that in one part. I expected that it was going to be Iron Man versus Thanos 1-on-1. And I was right. And when it came to an end where one was going to sacrifice himself for the best of all to be able to stop him, to stop Thanos, and it didn't work because he had the Infinity Stone of Time. He was able to turn back the clock. The fight scenes were in my own opinion were done pretty well. Even with all of this, everything that was going on, had the seriousness of the situation. They managed to throw some jokes in there. One of my favorites was the Squidward joke, or the insult, more or less, and how they used references from aliens to for 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 some interesting rescue, you know, um, to use that as an inspiration to come up with a rescue plan or to take out the bad guy, the one bad guy, not Thanos, but the other guy, the Mal or whatnot, or the Maul or whatever his name is. I'm just gonna call him Squidward, as well as Stark. Um, I really like the nanotech Iron Man armor. It it looks amazing on how well that armor is so well versed. It could change from one thing to the other to be able to immobilize an opponent for close range combat to be from a more of a long distance kind of thing to very rarely up close and up and personal to being full on hand combat and only going at a distance when you really have no choice. And seeing how with his other armor, with Stark's past armors, they don't replicate all that well. I mean, not replicate. I mean, like rebuild all that well. I mean, he has to physically rebuild them. With the nanotech Iron Man suit, he really did not have to. It rebuilt on its own. Like he had the helmet was ripped off. He had it come back, but then it was pretty much punched and destroyed off, along with part of the rest of the armor. But that didn't stop him from trying to from from it rebuilding itself some part of the way while he was trying to blast Thanos. But I there's just some scenes. I mean, with how sporadic it was between the characters and giving each character, I think they did that pretty well because they needed to give each character or each certain small group of the Avengers of each of these characters time to shine. And some people might not like that, and I can see why they don't like the ending part where certain characters, like some might be your favorite characters, dying and not taking part of looking back and actually knowing how it actually supposed to happen to seeing it in live action on film, like or in on Infinity War, like the Avengers Infinity War. Um, this will also lead up to more Marvel movies for more members of the Avengers. We're going to be seeing more of them. Um, there's going to be there's just a lot of things. I mean, they did everything that they could. We've seen one character we have not seen since the Captain America movie, the first Avenger. We haven't seen him and since the very first Avengers movie, or when we first meet Captain America, on how he was made, or how he was born, how he is, who he is. I mean, um, I like the new look, the new design of the Winter Soldier's Bucky's arm is a metal one, his automail arm. I like that pretty well. Um, the alien monsters, uh, um, they looked pretty cool, pretty fearsome. Um, I actually like them, and they're very good at swarming, um, which is fitting. The women fight. She's not alone. Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Black Panther's right hand, uh, bodyguard, protector. All three of them versus one badass woman, alien woman from that's part of Thanos' guard, I guess, his most trusted children in his words. Um, seeing those women fight and then seeing the end and hearing, oh, that's gross. I really don't like the fact that they changed her her hair color. I always liked seeing her with red hair. Um, but yeah, if you think about it, maybe she's just slightly older, or maybe looking for like a new look. So I guess if I was to think about it in a different way, it actually looks pretty good on the Black Widow. But I still prefer the sexy red hair. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments. Um, it's just the opening scene, the emotions that would be going through Thor. I mean, there's a lot of loss in Thor's life, and especially from what we've seen. And he didn't really fulfill on that promise that he said to Thanos, but he came close. But it was stopped by like this. Because if you have the Infinity Gauntlet, you gathered all the stones. All it would take is gone. How the Mantis and what happened to the Mantis and Drax and Gamora. I mean, what happened to Gamora was tragic. I mean, like which that was actually quite sad. Something that you just like she did not believe whatsoever that this guy who tortured and murdered and killed millions, billions of people all over the universe. She didn't think he actually had a heart. He like that he cared. But there was at least one person that he really cared about. Because when it comes to something such as that, to bring someone back, whether it be here in a movie or an anime or your favorite book or this and that, it takes an ultimate sacrifice because it takes a life for a life, a soul for a soul. And it was such a sad scene. Something that you just couldn't believe. But it also could cause uh, Star Lord's downfall, or is the cause of Star Lord's downfall because he lost his mom, had no choice but to kill his dad, lost his other father, who saved his life, and now he pretty much lost the majority of his team and the woman he loves. The the most impactful scene. There's two of them. There's two. There is some other besides the one with Thanos and Gamora, and the one in the opening scene. I would say the most impactful ones would be towards the end, and that will be between Rocket and Groot, teenage Groot, and Stark and Peter Parker. And let's talk about Parker. Let's talk about Parker's suit. Parker's suit was done exceptionally well. It was well made, and then seeing the spider legs come from his back, like materialize out of his back, and he's able to use them to not only shield himself but to gain extra momentum, to have an extra hand at taking out an enemy and getting in an extra shot. It I really like um uh Tony that Tony made him a suit that worked really well and that fit, and it was pretty good. It was a little bit like really awkward between Parker and Strange, their meeting, but like I said before, the most awkward meeting was Rogers and Nat Black Widow meeting Banner again, seeing him again, and having and Banner and Black Nat having a awkward moment. I mean, she was just surprised and happy to see him, but you just see them staring at each other. Um, like the last time they seen each other was the Age of Ultron. Um, like I don't want to spoil anything for people who have not seen it and who don't want to see it until part two comes out. Um, there's certain characters like Hawkeye we don't um, see in here. I mean, he could be retired at this point, where we don't see him at all until part two, maybe. I mean, if he was there in part two, that'd be excellent to see and see him coming in with other heroes. That would be pretty good. And the Stark and Pepper talking about their wedding, and Stark talking about his dream of a future with her and having a kid, having having that kid named after her uncle. That was that was pretty good, even though it was all ruined by everything else. Um, the fight scenes were like I said. I think I said this before. Really interesting, and I think what would draw people, especially to this movie, it's not just because of the fight scenes. I think it's the dramatic, impactful, sad scenes that go throughout this movie. I mean, you don't like you've never seen an Avengers movie get this dark before, and this gets really, really dark in a heartbeat, like a blink of an eye, snap of the fingers. It's dark all the way through, but like I said, also throws a little bit jokes out there, like a little joke on Banner, like, oh, so he's royalty, right? We should bow, right? I was like, yeah, he's a king. You should bow. Like, he actually bows. Like, got ya, got him. But seeing Banner happen to rely on himself, going back to the Banner and Hulk thing, Hulk saying no to fighting, saying no to taking over, Banner knowing him so well that he likes to come out at the last second. I mean, this is the last second of the last seconds. I know you like to quit being such an asshole. Just, do your thing, smash. And Hulk's like, no. He's like, you know what? You. Screw you. I'm just going to do it myself. And even though he was wearing the Hulk Buster suit, he did exceptionally well for someone who's afraid of his other half, of losing himself to the Hulk and staying the Hulk forever. Because that's what you think Banner was really afraid of. I mean, it's like they're saying that Hulk and Banner are two separate personalities instead of being being the exact opposites of each other. Hulk might not be as smart as Banner, intelligent wise, but he's really, really strong, really adaptable. I mean, there's other abilities to the Hulk that we don't know, or that Marvel chooses not to show in the Marvel movies. And because there's been more than one movie of the Hulk, of different variations besides the Hulk that we see in the Avengers, that's probably, and besides the battle over the Hulk, is why we probably will never see a solo Hulk movie, even though even Mark Ruffalo has tried to get a solo Hulk movie. It's but I it's just it's such a good movie that I'm looking forward for Infinity War Part 2. And I hope you guys are as well as I am. Even though I talked about a few things and whether I liked it, I mean, I could see why people not liking the sporadicness of constantly going from one thing to the other, to this character group of characters to this group of characters to this thing, just like it sees like it's all over the place, and that's what some people might use as a way of ruining the movie. but yet what they're really doing is what they should have that they should do. They're doing what they should do by giving everybody a chance, giving everybody a chance at the spotlight. I mean, we finally see a character such as Banner, who relies on the Hulk even though he's afraid of his other half. Even though he's afraid of the Hulk, he's heavily reliant on the Hulk. Even the people, other heroes in the Avengers rely on the power of the Hulk. They're willing to risk Hulk going to berserk in a fight to use him. I mean, that's what they had this code of things when the Avengers Age of Ultron. You had this little code. I mean, this little love connection between the Black Widow and the Hulk and Banner, and things not going the way Black Widow really wanted, or what they both of them really wanted, and they eventually, yeah, they grew apart, but Banner was even shocked and surprised when he found out that the Avengers are no more, that they're disbanded, that, without going too into detail with it, that Stark and Rogers aren't on speaking terms. But the moral of this movie is this is the reason to bring the Avengers together again in part 2, maybe with even new characters, new Marvel characters that we have not seen on the big screen yet, that we might see in movies that are leading up to Avengers Infinity War Part 2. To end this video off, because I feel if I continue anymore, I'm going to end up spoiling it. Avengers Infinity War gets a 9 out of 10. And that's all I have for you guys for today. Should say tonight or early morning because it's almost 2 o'clock. I will see you guys next time. So let's cool down and look forward for the next review. Peace.